station officials, for those that bought tickets, are telling buyers that they canceled Dawkins' August 9th talk because we didn't know that he had offended and hurt in his tweets and other comments on Islam. So many people, KPFA does not endorse hurtful speech. Well, KPFA emphatically supports serious free speech. We do not support abusive speech. The email continued, we apologize for not having another broader knowledge of Dawkins' views much earlier. Well, what did Dawkins say about Islam? What did he say about it? Dawkins called Islam evil in a speech last month. And apparently, upon hearing the news that his talk was canceled, Dawkins fired back in an open letter to KPFA. One of his questions gets right to the point. He says, I am known as a frequent critic of Christianity and have never been deplatformed for that. Why do you give Islam a free pass? Why is it a fine to criticize Christianity but not Islam? He also asked the station why no one there checked the facts or even showed common courtesy by contacting him before canceling his event. He says, I have indeed strongly condemned homophobia and violence of Islam, of which Muslims, particularly Muslim women, are the prime victims, Dawkins said in a separate statement. I make no apologies for denouncing those oppressive cruelties, and I will continue to do so. There is a lot of things in Islam that are, genital mutilation, honor killings. There is a lot of things that I could see as a Christian that could say that is evil. Muslims might say that the Crusades were evil. Muslims would be able to say some things about Christian wars and the Crusades and all that. That's where people like to point back anyways when they're looking at things that people have done through the ages. But it's interesting that an atheist actually points this out. I think he really is echoing the bigotry that's going. It is interesting how an atheist again, and I thought about this morning, and I said, wow. And it's just like God to be able to do this, to point this out to somebody of science, to be able to see this, because it's just common sense. He sees it. He calls out all religions, and he says something that he's critical about, and he's been critical about every denomination and mostly on Christianity, which the media has been. But it says, what are these folks, why are they protecting those in the Islam religion? Is there somebody that is Islam that's at the radio station in the community? What happens to be the offense here? Because he speaks his mind? He didn't tell people to hate on him. He just says that the things that they do, clarifying the things that they do, appear to be evil. And isn't that the right for somebody in this country to be able to do that? But there's nothing hateful in Mr. Dawkins' speech and what he said about Islam. That was his conversation. But it's ultra-liberal Berkeley, folks. That's where you made the mistake here. But he's confused. Is there a large concentrate of Muslims? Is there somebody at the radio station at KPFA that they're protecting? Or was it just a few phone calls from some listeners that got offended from what he had to say? Oh, we had no idea that he was critical of anybody. I'm not very supportive of Mr. Dawkins' work. I don't like the things that he does, but he has a right to be able to speak his piece, whatever that might be. There is an audience for everybody. But I think he makes a good point. He's condemned and strongly condemned misogyny, homophobia, and violence of Islam, and particularly Muslim women. And they are the victims, trying to protect, trying to speak out. And atheists, folks, of showing the atrocities, the evil horrors that are done with this religion. So are you, he says, and here's another good one. He makes a point. He says, so you're against someone trying to support those who fight bigotry? Caleb Powell asked on Facebook. Yet you're perfectly okay with anti-Semitism, he continued. You're either ignorant, cowardly, or complacent regarding the bigotry you support. And we suspect it's a combination of all three. He says, you still live in the area, loved your station, terribly disappointed in it now. This is another listener. You are the laughingstock of any critical thinking person for your actions. Terribly disappointed in your decision. He says, how about criminalizing of the critics of Islam? How about the criminalizing of critics in general? James Lorman asked this question. Free speech means just that. Free speech, free to be spoken, free to be interpreted, free for people to walk away from if they don't want to hear it. Free speech is not for any one person, institution, organization, or state to control or dictate, he added. You owe Mr. Dawkins an apology. And again, the station we're talking about, the folks at KPFA, have not even contacted atheist Richard Dawkins to let him know personally that his August speaking date has been canceled. This just was aired. Didn't give him the common decency at all to do this. But it is interesting. This is the hypocrisy, folks, of the left when it doesn't fit. And it's just like the sanctuary cities. I mesh it in all the one thing here. It's the lunacy. What do we become? Really, who are we protecting? Christianity is definitely big time on attack over here for Christian values, for the family, for morality. I mean, folks, it just is become a very difficult place to live in a lot of places in our country. And believe me, if you're able to enjoy in your town, your city, a major, okay, the baby Jesus and Joseph and the wise men, if you're able to see that during the holidays, you're blessed. Because there's so many that are trying to just get rid of any traces whatsoever. But give other outside, religions that have, again, give them what they want. Not the traditional stuff that have, largely made us a Christian nation. Though we've had Muslims here for a long time. It's nothing new. There might be an increase seemingly, but there's, Muhammad Ali, and it goes back even further than that. I'm not an Islamic, terrorism. I am definitely against. But again, Islam itself, I know a lot of doctors. I know a lot of professionals here in the Tampa Bay area and around the country. We've talked about the Quran. We've talked about the Bible, and they know about the Bible. A lot of them that I've spoken to are very against the practices of other people that are practicing Islam in other countries, and the way that they treat their kids and the way that they treat women. That's why a lot of them live here, they said. You guys don't do that here. That's why my wife's here. That's why my family's here. That's why we enjoy America. And I say, God bless you. God bless you. If that's the kind of Islam that you're practicing, it's peaceful, it's loving. You're not demanding that America change for Islam, that we become Sharia law, and that's the law of the land, and you want all the Sharia practices. I mean, that's the wrong place to me. If you want Sharia law, you can go somewhere else. To me, I don't want that happening in America, nor should any American want that particular thing, because that's just not what we're about. It's not what we've been about as a country. There are people that are working and hard, would love to have America change, and that would be for the better for them, but it would suit them. But it hasn't suited America since our founding fathers. So if you want to go back into history, folks, because it's being erased, real history, folks, Wall Builders is an organization that I very, very strongly believe that they teach the truth of the founding fathers and the principles that you can see in Washington still inscripted on many of the buildings. and the way that they conducted themselves with prayer and mentioning of God and, this so-called separation of God and country. Folks, people prayed before session. People held hands and asked God to be part of things. Now people try to remove these things, and it's very upsetting. But they say, "Oh, we don't want the religion to be a part of the discussion here at this meeting or that meeting." But then it's okay to allow other religions that are non-traditional in many senses of the word, allow them to do whatever the heck they want to do. It's a double standard, and you need to be alert to that, folks, as we have these left-wing loons try to pacify folks out there in California. And it doesn't surprise me it happens out in California, folks. Anything goes. Sanctuary cities. It's disturbing. A lot of Californians have told me, I've just got some letters over the weekend saying, I'm leaving. It's tough being a conservative. It's tough. They see the breakdown. They see the state of California. It wasn't always that way, but it's gotten worse, folks. People are moving to Texas. They're moving out of California. And it's because it's hard to find people that are like-minded, that seem to have just moral values, have a compass, something that governs them other than material items that they have around, that they actually have a north. And God forbid you actually believe in God. God forbid if they do. But if you're making the move or thinking about making the move, you're not alone. If you're out there in California, you don't even have to be out in California, but I'm telling you, that is a tough place to live, to be a conservative. Tough place to be. It's not just in Hollywood. It's everywhere. From San Francisco, you figure, to even north into Atascadero and San Luis Obispo, all the way to Los Angeles and so forth, and points in between. Beautiful country. Love California. I think it's gorgeous. A lot of nice things, and there's still a lot of nice people there. But if you have found some kindred spirits that actually are conservative, you have found yourself a gem. But it's rare and few and in between. So, shake-up, obviously, last week with Scaramucci. Have you heard this twist? Jeffrey Roddick, he's a columnist. His stuff is published on Newsweek. But he starts out saying Anthony Scaramucci, just brought into the White House communications director, is considered to be an internal candidate to eventually succeed Chief of Staff Reince Priebus. Politico is reporting this right now at this hour. Website attributed its information to one White House official and two outside advisors, and noted Priebus was strongly opposed to the hiring of Scaramucci in the first place. Scaramucci is going to crack down, and it'll be a skeleton crew in the White House, because if you just heard what I had to say, that a White House official and two outside advisors, so it's inside and outside, still with these leaks going on, talking about it. Reince Priebus took the punishing job of President Donald Trump's chief of staff with the idea that he would stick around for at least a year. 6 months in, with one of his top allies in the West Wing, Press Secretary Sean Spicer, on his way out, Priebus is in his defensive mode, his role diminished, and an eternal rival hogging the limelight. But Priebus is still hoping to complete his full year, according to Politico, attributed to people close to him. But it noted his stature in the White House appears to be shrinking. Scaramucci has said he reports directly to the president. Anyways, interesting thought. Trump said there's going to be a shakeup. Scaramucci, major shakeup, like Sean Spicer. But the style of Scaramucci seems to be a little bit more hands-on and a little bit more aggressive, siding a little bit more with Donald Trump and what he wants to get done, because what Donald is hating more than anything is the leaks, and he likes loyalty above anything else. Scaramucci says he loves Donald Trump, and I think that he's going to be a really good component of communications. More shakeups, I'm sure, more firings, and hopefully we get people red-handed where they find the trail of these people that are leaking this garbage that's happening in the White House. in holdovers, whether they're holdovers or people